After hearing that pregnancy could exempt one from military training, my roommate got so excited that she posted on the confession wall looking for someone to help her get pregnant. Once the message was posted, her WeChat blew up with people adding her non-stop. She happily browsed through them, like a queen selecting consorts, and finally settled on a wealthy second-generation guy with decent height and looks. Our entire dorm tried to talk her out of it, earnestly advising her that military training only lasts a month, and getting pregnant just to avoid it would not be worth the cost. My roommate finally took the advice and gave up on that idea, settling down to focus on military training. But later, my roommate heard that a girl from the neighboring class had used her method to successfully marry a rich second-generation heir. Furious that we had stolen her dream of becoming a wealthy wife, she angrily poisoned our entire dormitory. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day. My roommate told me she wanted to get pregnant to get out of military training. 1. I heard that if you're pregnant, you don't have to do military training. Otherwise, let's find someone to get pregnant for us. The abdominal pain caused by the medication hadn't completely subsided when I heard Su Jiala's voice. The sound came from far to near, growing from soft to loud, gradually becoming clear. I groggily opened my eyes and saw Su Jiala's familiar yet terrifying face. Seeing that none of the three of us spoke, she asked again, "Pregnancy means you can skip military training, you know, do you want to join me?" It was the same in the previous life. Due to the high temperatures, the merciful principal postponed the military training, which was supposed to start right after enrollment, by a month. Su Jiala, unwilling to participate in military training, had been looking for ways to avoid it ever since she enrolled. Illness, injury, and finally, she came across this method from somewhere and cheerfully shared it with us. When the three of us heard her idea, we all thought she was crazy. After all, no one with a sound mind would get themselves pregnant just to get out of a month of military training, so the three of us took turns trying to talk her out of it, practically wearing our lips out, before we finally managed to persuade Su Jiala. Unexpectedly, a girl from the neighboring class actually used her method. Not only did she get exempted from military training, spending every day in the shade watching us train, but she later also successfully married into a wealthy family because of the child. Su Jiala believed that it was our interference that caused her not only to endure the scorching heat during training but also to miss out on the chance to marry a rich second-generation heir. In a fit of rage, she poisoned the water dispenser and coldly watched as the three of us died from the poison. In this life, I have decided to respect the fate of others, too. I spoke first. I think military training is quite good, it can strengthen my willpower, so I'll just skip it. Zhang Manman also said, getting pregnant just to avoid military training doesn't seem necessary either. Su Ku picked up the cup on the table, took a sip, and said nothing, only shaking his head. Su Jiala, seeing that none of the three of us were interested, snorted coldly, reached out and pulled the curtain of the bed closed, muttering under his breath, "Fine, if you don't want to do it, then don't. When you three are standing in the sun doing military drills later, don't blame me for not thinking of you." I turned to look at the other two. In their previous lives, they hadn't said that at all. Zhang Manman grabbed Su Jiala's hand and kept trying to persuade her that it wasn't necessary to get pregnant just to avoid military training, even listing the consequences of pregnancy. "I need to go to the hospital for prenatal checkups every few days, and my body experiences all sorts of discomfort later on. When my belly gets big, even climbing up to the top bunk becomes troublesome." Su Ku even took out her own sunscreen and said that if she was afraid of getting tanned, she could let Su Jiala use it. But seeing their reactions today, my heart suddenly jolted. Could it be that they, like me, have also been reborn? To verify this guess, I winked at them and said, "I'm hungry, come eat with me." They exchanged a glance, quickly picked up their phones, and said, "Okay." The three of us huddled together and left the dorm. Just as we were about to close the door, we heard Su Jiala's voice, "Zhang Manman, bring me a serving of egg fried rice when you come back upstairs." Zhang Manman turned her head and responded toward the inside. When we got to the cafeteria and got our meals, the three of us sat facing each other, looking at one another. "You guys, you too, Reborn." And so, you could see three girls in the cafeteria eating while crying like fools. 3. Before we had even finished lunch, Su Ku pulled out his phone and handed it to us. Just like in the previous life, Su Jiala had already posted a message on the confession wall looking for a pregnancy buddy. Since I don't want to do military training, I'm looking for a pregnancy buddy. You only need to be responsible for getting pregnant for me. There will be no other relationship between us besides being pregnancy buddies. If you're worried I'll back out, we can sign a written agreement. I won't ask you to bear any of the child's future expenses, nor will you be responsible for raising it. If you're interested, feel free to contact me. As soon as this explosive message was posted, Su Jiala's WeChat blew up, with people flooding in to add him. She even proudly boasted to us, thinking that so many people added her because they all agreed with her idea. Exactly, no responsibility required, and you get to have fun. If I were a guy, I'd definitely add her too. Su Jiala, however, didn't see it that way. She cheerfully picked her pregnancy buddies, treating it like selecting concubines, making them fill out resumes and send photos. She said, I have to pick a better DNA for my future baby's other half. It's also being responsible for the child. Hilarious. She's already planning to be a single mom, and she still knows how to be responsible for the child. If the child ever found out that his father was selected by his mom like a job interview, he'd rather have never been born. We had just returned to the dorm when Su Jiala smugly shoved her WeChat in front of us. Look, so many people are adding me. If you want to get pregnant with me, I can share some of these resources with you. The three of us quickly shook our heads and refused. No, 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 you can keep these people for yourself. Su Jiala scoffed. No good deed goes unpunished. If you're so eager for military training, go ahead. Hope you don't get tanned to death. That very evening, Su Jiala confirmed her pregnancy buddy, a wealthy second-generation heir with some good looks. It wasn't until later, during military training, that I found out this rich kid was notorious in our school as a player. By his sophomore year, the number of girls he had slept with was already more than he could count on both hands. I wonder, in this life, without the three of us persuading her, will she really be able to marry this rich second-generation heir as she wished in her previous life? For, because the military training was postponed, we have already started regular classes during this period. Su Jiala initially went to and from school with us, but suddenly one day, she began to stay out all night. When the senior student came to check the dorm, we made excuses to cover for her, but covering for her once or twice was fine. Doing it every day, the senior wasn't stupid either. So, not long after the semester started, Su Jiala was noted several times for being out all night. She didn't care about it, saying she was off to do something big and that some sacrifices were necessary. After 2 consecutive weeks of staying out all night, with the National Day holiday just around the corner, Su Jiala still wasn't pregnant. She started to panic, searching every day for ways to get pregnant quickly. Hard work pays off. Finally, one evening in late September, Su Jiala rushed out of the bathroom excitedly holding a pregnancy test stick with 2 lines, shouting loudly, I'm pregnant, I'm really pregnant. She cradled the pregnancy test stick in her arms as if it were a precious treasure. Great, I finally don't have to do military training. 5. During the 7-day National Day holiday, Zhang Man, Su Ku, and I planned to go out for part-time jobs. Su Jiala's emotions were far too unstable. In the previous life, just because we advised her against getting pregnant and shattered her dream of marrying into a wealthy family, she flew into a rage and poisoned all 3 of us to death. In this life, who knows what might set her off and make her kill us again. We need to get out of here before she snaps. Although it's unrealistic to rent a place outside with our living expenses, having some money on hand is always a good thing. Meanwhile, Su Jiala took advantage of the National Day holiday to go to the hospital and confirm that she was indeed pregnant. After the National Day holiday ended, military training officially began. The whistle sounded before dawn. I put on my military uniform almost with my eyes closed, half asleep. The 3 of us helped each other and made our way to the assembly point. The instructor, with a stern face, called the roll one by one and found that one person was missing. Which dormitory does this Su Jiala belong to? The instructor's eyes swept back and forth among us. I silently raised my hand. Our dormitory. Why hasn't she arrived yet? None of you from the same dormitory called her. Reporting, instructor. Su Jiala is pregnant. Zhang Man raised her hand to answer. The instructor's mouth twitched. Isn't he just a freshman? How could she be pregnant? Is she already married? We all shut our mouths and said nothing. How could we explain that she deliberately got pregnant just to avoid military training? I'm asking you, cat got your tongues. Reporting, instructor. We don't know. 6. Su Jiala didn't arrive until the afternoon. She walked unsteadily, dragging her feet as she made her way to the assembly point. At that time, we were standing at attention in the scorching sun. Every one of us tensed up, letting the sweat as big as beans roll down our cheeks from our foreheads. Su Jiala handed the ultrasound report to the instructor sitting in the shade, pinching her voice and saying, Sorry, instructor, I'm pregnant. I was a bit drowsy this morning and didn't show up for roll call. I felt a little better in the afternoon, so I came to let you know." The instructor flipped the ultrasound report back and forth, as if trying to find something wrong with it. After all, no one would ever think that someone would get pregnant just to avoid military training. In the end, he couldn't find any issues with the ultrasound report and could only wave his hand helplessly, saying, "All right, then just sit here and watch them train." Su Jiala hummed in response and sat cross-legged beside the instructor. Her gaze swept over and landed on the three of us, the smile on her face gradually turning sour, as if to say, "Since you didn't want to join me, now just enjoy the sun." On the first day of military training, the three of us were utterly exhausted. We didn't even have the appetite for dinner and went straight back to the dormitory. Suku didn't even have the strength to climb up to the top bunk. Su Jiala lay on the bed, a smile curling at the corner of his mouth as he looked at the three of us. "Aren't you guys into military training? How come you can't handle it on the very first day? My pregnancy buddy is pretty reliable." "Zhang Man, Suku, Chen Menjing, don't say I didn't give you a chance. If you're willing to get pregnant with me right now, I don't mind sharing his contact info with you." Suku slumped in the chair. "That kind of blessing you have, we're not lucky enough to enjoy." Zhang Man lay sprawled on the bed, her eyes filled with utter despair, yet she said, "Let the storm come even fiercer." Su Jiala looked at me, and I shook my head, thanking her. 7. Zhang Man's wish had come true. The next day, before dawn, the whistle sounded first. Early in the morning. It was a 5-kilometer march with heavy loads. The three of us were sore all over, completely drained of energy, and carrying that bag, who knows what was inside. We were nearly crushed to the ground. "Run, what are you doing?" The instructor's voice rang out from behind, and the three of us had no choice but to grit our teeth and keep running. Is this even military training? This is pure torture. Even though I had already been through it once in my past life, going through it again in this life still feels insane. Whose school military training is like this? Isn't it all about standing at attention and practicing goose-stepping? So in the afternoon, we started goose-stepping. Su Jiala sat under the shade of a tree, popping dried preserved plums into her mouth one by one. "I've had poor coordination since childhood, and in this life as well as the last, I've always been the one singled out for correction during goose-stepping." Su Jiala saw me marching in step with the same hand and foot, laughing so hard she was doubled over. I gritted my teeth and dared not speak, feeling utterly stifled. The days of military training felt like years, each second dragging on. We woke up earlier than the roosters and were as exhausted as dogs. Starting from the second day of military training, the three of us gave up climbing to the top bunks and chose to sleep on the floor instead. Although Su Jiala had some complaints, she enjoyed watching us make fools of ourselves, so she only made a few symbolic remarks. After that, it was mostly sarcastic comments. "Don't you like military training? How come you're so exhausted? If you had gotten pregnant like me earlier, you wouldn't have had to suffer so much, right? Oh, Chen Menjing, what's that smell on you? It stinks." "You three, from now on, go take a shower as soon as you get back. I'm in a special condition right now and can't stand bad smells." The devilish military training finally ended after our day-by-day suffering. On the day it ended, the three of us went straight to a hotel, slept for an entire day, and woke up with sore backs and aching bodies, but our spirits were noticeably better. 8. Su Jiala's pregnancy symptoms became more severe. She would occasionally cover her mouth and run to the bathroom, followed by the sound of retching. She gradually started to enjoy ordering us around. "Suku, pour me a glass of water." "Zhang Man, go bring my clothes inside." "Chen Menjing, when you go to the cafeteria, remember to get me a meal, just some meat and vegetables will do. I'm not picky." But after we did as she said, she started nitpicking again. "Suku, why did you pour me cold water? I'm pregnant, I need room temperature water." "Zhang Man, these clothes aren't dry yet, why did you bring them in?" "Chen Menjing, look at the dishes you brought me, none of them are what I like to eat." The three of us also exploded. "Are you out of your mind? We help you with your work, and you still complain about us. From now on, handle your own business. You're pregnant, not disabled." Su Jiala started crying. "I'm a pregnant woman, how can you be so harsh to a pregnant woman? And besides, I didn't say anything wrong. Shouldn't a pregnant woman drink warm water? Isn't this shirt still a bit damp? And the groceries Chen Menjing bought for me, green vegetables, tofu, and chicken legs. How can a pregnant woman eat such poor food?" Su Jiala cried louder and louder, her words full of grievance, as if the three of us had ganged up to bully her. Her voice attracted people from the neighboring dormitory, who gathered at our door, chiming in one after another to defend Su Jiala. How can you bully a pregnant woman? Taking good care of a pregnant woman is the least you can do. Aren't these just simple requests? Can't you even manage that? And you call yourselves roommates? You have no empathy. Exactly. When my sister-in-law was pregnant, our whole family made sure she had the best food and drinks. Zhang Man couldn't stand it anymore and wanted to argue back. But I held her back. I smiled at the crowd and asked, since you're all so empathetic and love taking care of pregnant women so much, why don't you let Su Jiala move into your dorm? All three of us have bad tempers, no patience, and don't know how to take care of others. Su Jiala only gets bullied when she's with us. It's bad for both the child and the adults. If any of you have a kind heart, why don't you take her to your dorm? This time, no one spoke. Everyone likes to say nice things. After all, it's easy to talk when you're not the one in trouble. 9. For Su Jiala's requests, as long as they are not unreasonable, we will help as much as we can. I always thought things would continue to develop smoothly like this, until Su Jiala successfully gave birth to her child. Who would have thought that during the New Year's holiday, Su Jiala's mother suddenly came to the school? Somehow, she found out where Su Jiala's dormitory was and appeared right at our dormitory door, looking fresh and lively. Su Jiala, just as I was about to take a nap, there was a knock on the door. Suko stood up and opened the door, only to see a middle-aged woman of about 40 or 50 standing outside. The woman craned her neck to look inside, asking as she peered, "Is Su Jiala in your dorm?" Suko nodded and stepped aside to let the woman in. At that moment, Su Jiala was leisurely lying on the bed, playing on her phone and snacking. The moment she heard her mother's voice, she was so startled. She nearly fell off the top bunk. "Mom, why are you here?" It was rare to see Su Jiala look so guilty. "You have the nerve to ask me why I'm here. I should be asking you, why didn't you come home for National Day, and why not for New Year's either? Are you secretly dating someone behind our backs at school?" Su's mother plopped down in front of Su Jiala's desk, flipping through this and that, muttering as she did, "Don't let me catch you sneaking around dating. If you're not clean, you won't fetch a good price, you know." Su Jiala didn't come down from the bunk, just kept nodding and murmuring in agreement. Mother Su didn't wait for Su Jiala to climb down from the bed, a bit displeased. "Why aren't you coming down yet? Are you hatching eggs up there? Your father and I came all this way to see you, and you don't even think of taking us out for a walk or to get some good food." I'm not really in a position to do that," Su Jiala said. "What do you mean not in a position?" "I think the older you get, the more clueless you become. Get down here now." There was no way around it. Since Su's mother had already spoken, Su Jiala had no choice but to brace himself and climb out of bed. Su's mother looked him up and down with a piercing gaze. You seem to have put on quite a bit of weight." Her eyes landed on his stomach, which was already starting to bulge slightly. Su Jiala let out 2 awkward laughs. "Yeah, I guess so. The food at school is just too good." Su's mother looked at him with disdain. "Don't eat so much if you don't have to. Men don't like chubby girls." 10. Su Jiala came back crying. Her mother grabbed her by the hair and dragged her toward the dormitory. "Open the door. Hurry up and open the door." The banging on the door was thunderous. Suko, with a resentful expression, went to open the door again. Su's mother kicked the door open with one foot, then yanked Su Jiala by the hair and pulled her inside, shouting as she did, "Which little bitch came up with this idea? Step forward, or I'll tear your skin off." Luckily, Suko dodged quickly. Otherwise, that kick would have landed right on her. Zhang Man and I poked our heads out from the top bunk, while Suko stood below, looking up with a puzzled expression at Su's mother, whose face was flushed with anger. Su Jiala shot us a pleading look. If her mother weren't holding her back, I felt she would have knelt down to us right then and there. Su's mother swept her gaze over the 3 of us. "You all look like such well-behaved girls on the surface. How can your hearts be so malicious? My daughter just didn't want to attend military training and asked you for advice, and you actually encouraged her to get pregnant. Which damn bastard came up with this idea?" Step forward. Seeing that the 3 of us remained silent, Su's mother grew even angrier. She pushed Su Jiala aside, walked to the balcony, grabbed the drying pole, and pointed it at us. "I suggest you tell me the truth honestly. Or else, I'll smash your dormitory and report you to your teachers. I'll have you expelled." "Auntie, I think you've got it wrong. How could we possibly have the ability to convince your daughter to get pregnant? Yeah, her legs are on her own body. If she doesn't want to do something, we can't force her to. Moreover, look for yourself. she found a pregnancy buddy on her own, and this idea was entirely her own. Zhang Manman shoved the post in which Su Jiala was seeking a pregnancy buddy right under Su's mother's nose. Su's mother was so furious that steam practically shot out of her nostrils. She charged straight at Su Jiala, striking her with the stick again and again. How dare you be so cheap, so shameless, so despicable. Su Jiala could only shield her body with her arms, one hand protecting her belly. Mom, stop hitting me, stop, you'll cause a miscarriage. Su's mother laughed. Ah, a miscarriage, that's perfect, who knows whose bastard that little brat is, a miscarriage would be wonderful. 11. This matter was brought to the counselor's attention. The three of us stood in the counselor's office, while Su Jiala's mother dragged him to the other side. Su Jiala, with red-rimmed eyes, kept his head down and said nothing. The counselor looked at Su Jiala. Didn't you say you got engaged a long time ago? Isn't this child your husband's? Su Jiala's head drooped even lower. The counselor's gaze suddenly shifted to the three of us, his voice tinged with resentment. And you three? You're her roommates, how could you not stop her? You just let her do whatever she wanted. Besides, she told me she had a fiancé and that the child was his. How could you not tell me the truth and just let me be fooled by her? Some roommates you are. No empathy at all. Su's mother also glared fiercely at the three of us. Exactly, you're all young girls living together, and you don't even know how to keep an eye on my Lele for me. My Lele is so innocent. There's no way she could have come up with this idea on her own, you must have told her. Egged her on, and that's why she made a mistake. Su Jiala then turned the tables and blamed us. Exactly, why didn't you stop me back then? If you had stopped me, I definitely wouldn't have done something like this. It's all your fault. Fine, I'm just lying in the dorm, and trouble comes out of nowhere. In our past life, we earnestly advised her, only to be poisoned to death by her in return. In this life, we no longer persuade her, respecting her fate, yet she turns around and blames us for not advising her. She really has all the words, doesn't she? 12. The situation had escalated, and the father of Su Jiala's unborn child had no choice but to brace himself and come to acknowledge the relationship. When Qing Shigang arrived, he was holding a girl by the hand. Teacher, this has nothing to do with me. She came to me. Qing Shigang was the first to lodge a complaint. She told me I didn't need to take responsibility, just help her get pregnant. Now she wants me to take responsibility, but that won't work. I have a girlfriend. Qing Shigang looked at the girl beside him. I turned to look at the girl next to Qing Shigang and was completely stunned. Wasn't she the one who married Qing Shigang in my past life? The girl who got exempted from military training because of pregnancy and ended up marrying him. So, it wasn't that she caught Qing Shigang's eye and married into wealth because of pregnancy. They were actually already in a relationship. Su Jiala, upon hearing Qing Shigang trying to wash his hands of the matter, immediately refused to let it go. She grabbed his hand and demanded that he take responsibility. Qing Shigang, the child in my belly is yours, so you have to take responsibility. Qing Shigang tried to shake off Su Jiala's hand, but was grabbed firmly by Su's mother. Su's mother had a strong grip, and Qing Shigang simply couldn't break free. So you're the father of the child in my daughter's belly. Fine. I'll reluctantly agree to let my daughter marry you. Originally, the bride price was 500,000, but now it's buy one get one free. So I'll charge you 800,000. Also, you have to buy Lele's younger brother a car, at least 200,000. I heard your family still has some money. Buy me and his dad a house in the city center. Doesn't need to be too big, 100 square meters is enough. You should be secretly laughing with joy. Being able to marry a girl as good as my daughter is the blessing of your lifetime. 13. Qing Shigang twitched the corner of his mouth. Auntie, have you lost your mind? In broad daylight. You're really having a daydream, aren't you? You say the child in your daughter's belly is mine, so it must be mine, even if it is mine. So what? She chose to get pregnant herself. What's that got to do with me? Besides, she said herself she didn't need me to take responsibility. I have proof. She's the one who stooped low to get pregnant just to avoid military training, and now she wants me to take responsibility. Dream on. As soon as Su's mother heard that Qing Shigang didn't want to take responsibility, she immediately flew into a rage. What do you mean by that? You're just going to pull up your pants and pretend nothing happened. Su's mother suddenly let go of her grip and plopped down onto the ground, slapping her thigh and wailing, "Oh, what a miserable fate I have. I carried my daughter for 10 months, and now she's been defiled. And he won't take responsibility, and the school just lets him trample all over my daughter, refusing to give me an explanation. What a sin, bullying the helpless. Someone's going to die. the counselor and Qing Qigong had never seen anything like this before and were completely stunned. The counselor reacted quickly, immediately standing up and dragging Su's mother off the ground. "Mother of Su Jiala, please get up first. The school will definitely give you an explanation regarding this matter." 14. Zhang Man, Su Ku, and I requested a dormitory change from the counselor because of this incident. Although reluctant, the counselor grudgingly arranged for us to move upstairs. When we were moving dorms, Su Jiala had not yet returned, presumably still being lectured by her mother. By the time she came back, the three of us were already lying on the beds in the new dormitory. Su Jiala sent a message in the group chat. "Why did you three leave?" "Yeah, we applied to switch dorms. How could you do this? Leaving me here all alone? We don't want to inexplicably take the blame for something else. Our backs are already hunched enough." With that, I disbanded the group. Finally free of Su Jiala, the three of us decided to find a time to properly celebrate. But before we could celebrate, we heard that Su Jiala had been hit by a car. The call came to Zhang Manman's phone, urging her to rush to the hospital, though we had no idea why the hospital called Zhang Manman. A life was at stake, so the three of us took a taxi to the hospital late that night. The person is in the operating room. The doctor says the situation is quite bad. It's late at night, and there are no surveillance cameras. The driver hit someone and fled. Fortunately, an elderly man walking his dog at night saw it and immediately called 120. After waiting for 2 hours, Su Jiala was finally wheeled out of the operating room. Still unconscious, Su Ku and I were called over by the doctor. The patient was already over 3 months pregnant before the car accident. Not only did she lose the baby in this accident, but one of her fallopian tubes was also removed, which may make it difficult for her to conceive in the future. 15. The old man paid the medical expenses up front. The three of us had limited living expenses and simply couldn't scrape together that much money to pay him back, so we had to call the counselor. The counselor came along with Su Jiala's mother and Qing Qigong. As soon as Su's mother saw Su Jiala lying on the hospital bed, she immediately broke down in tears. "How could this happen? How could this happen? Ah, my daughter." Qing Qigong pulled the old man aside, took the payment slip from his hand, then pulled out his phone and reimbursed the old man. He even bowed and thanked him. Then he went to the inpatient department, paid a deposit of 20,000 yuan, and came back to gently comfort Su's mother. "All right, auntie, don't cry. This is something no one wanted to see." He looked at the three of us. "Did you call the police?" We nodded, then shook our heads. "We don't know. We rushed over as soon as we got the call from the hospital, so Qing Qigong dialed 110 right in front of us." The police arrived at the crime scene, which was a narrow alley with no surveillance cameras at either end, not even streetlights, pitch black. No one knows why Su Jiala ended up alone in that deserted alley late at night. 16. After being unconscious for 2 days, Su Jiala finally woke up. The first thing she did upon waking up was reach for her belly. And then, as if sensing something, she buried her head in her hands and began to cry uncontrollably. Su's mother, heartbroken for her daughter, could only hold her and cry along with her. After that, Su Jiala stopped speaking. Her days were reduced to receiving 4 drips, taking medicine, eating, and going to the bathroom. When her mother spoke to her, she would stare blankly without uttering a single word. Sometimes when we go to see her, she remains completely silent, staring straight ahead, lost in thought. Qing Qigong also visited her once or twice, each time bringing flowers, fruit, and supplements. After 2 weeks in the hospital, Su Jiala was discharged. The doctor said there was nothing physically wrong with her, but mentally, she might have suffered a blow due to losing the child. He advised us not to provoke her and to talk to her more often. Su's mother rented a small single room near the school gate and stayed with Su Jiala every day. She often mutters to herself, "It could have sold for a good price. But now it's all gone to waste." In the past, Su Jiala would have argued back, but now, even when she hears it, she remains silent. With the child gone, Su's mother had no choice but to abandon the idea of marrying Su Jiala off to Qing Qigong. Seeing Su Jiala in this state, Qing Qigong couldn't bear it and transferred 100,000 yuan to Su's mother, telling her to take Su Jiala home, rest up, and then return to school. Before leaving, Su's mother made a special trip to the school to thank the three of us, saying that if we hadn't rushed to the hospital to sign the papers, Su Jiala might not have even been able to save the other fallopian tube. That night, none of the three of us could sleep, as if we all had a vague feeling that something was about to happen. Su Jiala hadn't spoken a single word since being discharged from the hospital, and her silence was unsettling. Even though we no longer shared a dorm with her, And even though she was already preparing to return to her hometown to recover, 19, perhaps our worries were unnecessary. Because 2 days later, we saw on our moments that Su Jiala had already posted photos of herself back in her hometown. After this incident, life seemed to return to normal, attending classes, eating, sleeping, and living a routine of 3 fixed points. The days grew shorter, the nights longer, and time felt tighter as the school entered exam week. During exam week, there were no regular classes. Instead, 1 or 2 exams were held each day. When there were no exams, most of us stayed in the dormitories to study. On the 3rd day of exam week, rumors suddenly spread across the school that someone had been slashed. It was said that the attacker was extremely ruthless, cutting the victim's hands and feet, leaving over 20 wounds of various sizes. Some people even said that he was directly hacked to death, his head chopped off. For a time, the students at the school were panic-stricken, not daring to go out alone at night. The unease in my heart grew stronger, and my sixth sense told me that this matter was related to Su Jiala. But didn't she go back to her hometown? My premonition eventually came true, because on the evening of the 4th day of the exam, Su Jiala appeared at the door of our dormitory. She was carrying 4 cups of milk tea in her hands, with a creepy smile on her face. I came to see you guys. Are you happy? She had returned to her previous appearance, but it sent chills down my spine. Happy? I forced a smile and took the milk tea from her hands. There must be something she put in the milk tea. I knew it in my heart, but I didn't dare say it out loud. Zhang Manman and Su Ku have gone to take their exams and won't be back for a while. I placed the milk tea on the table and started reviewing, but I couldn't focus on a single word. Su Jiala walked over to me and thoughtfully poked open the milk tea for me. Why aren't you drinking? I said. I need to study. Just sit for a while. When they come back, we'll treat you to dinner outside. Su Jiala squinted his eyes and said, okay. My heart was pounding with nervousness, and time seemed to crawl by, even slower than during military training. Finally, when Su Jiala reminded me again to drink the milk tea, a knock came from outside. Su Jiala got up and opened the door, and Zhang Manman returned with her books. 20. Su Jiala handed the milk tea to Zhang Manman. I'm treating you to some milk tea, thank you. Zhang Manman happily took the milk tea, poked it open, and took a fake sip. Seeing Zhang Manman's swallowing motion, Su Jiala's smile grew even wider. I suddenly clutched my stomach, said it hurt, and then dashed into the restroom. Soon, a knock came at the door, and I shouted out again, Su Jiala, could you grab me a sanitary pad and some toilet paper? They're in my drawer. Su Jiala let out an, oh, and came in with some paper. Meanwhile, Shuka bought milk tea and, together with Zhang Manman, swapped all 3 of our milk teas. They had just finished swapping the milk teas when Su Jiala and I came out of the restroom. The 4 of us drank our milk tea and chatted as if nothing had happened before. As she drank, Su Jiala's eyes grew increasingly dark. Seeing that our milk teas were nearly finished, she suddenly burst into laughter. You're all doomed. I added poison to the milk tea. Zhang Manman was the first to react, mimicking her actions from the previous life. She clutched her stomach, veins bulging on her forehead, and pointed at Su Jiala. Why would you do this? Su Ku and I quickly joined in the act, clutching our stomachs and pretending to be in pain. Su Jiala became even happier. She walked up to the 3 of us, smiling brightly. Why? Because in this life, you didn't stop me, and because of that, I not only lost my own child but also one of my fallopian tubes. It's already hard enough to get pregnant with 2 fallopian tubes, let alone with just one, and on top of that, since I've already been pregnant, I can't command a high bride price anymore. Now my parents hate me, my brother despises me. Are you happy now? Why did all 3 of you persuade me in the past life, but not in this one? You deserve to die in your past life, and you deserve it even more in this one. Ha 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 ha. No matter what, I'm taking someone down with me. 21. A thought suddenly struck me. Was Qing Qigang also injured by you? Her smile remained unchanged, and then she nodded. Yeah, want to know why? Because he was the one who orchestrated my car accident. She suddenly threw her head back and laughed hysterically, just to avoid marrying me. He had someone run me over. Ha 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 ha. Did he think money could let him do whatever he wanted? I didn't figure it out at first, and I had no evidence, but when I was cutting him, he admitted it himself. He said it was him. He said as long as I lost the child, my mom wouldn't have any leverage to cause trouble at his place anymore. Ha 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 ha. He'll never have children again. Because I cut off his manhood. Ha 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 ha. Why could he marry other women in his past life, but not Me in this one, you all deserve to die, every single one of you. Sujala had completely lost his mind. Just then, 3 or 5 police officers suddenly burst in from outside and immediately pinned Sujala to the ground. Under Sujala's horrified gaze, the 3 of us, who had been lying on the ground, now got up as if nothing had happened, even dusting off our clothes. You clearly drank that cup of milk tea. Are you talking about these? The counselor walked in carrying 3 cups of milk tea. Seeing the milk tea, Sujala immediately understood everything. She shouted at the 3 of us, "You've also been reborn, haven't you? So you guessed and didn't try to stop me. You wanted to see me make a fool of myself from the very beginning, didn't you? How could you be so cruel? Did you already know there was something wrong with the milk tea? You've been guarding against me all along." She suddenly broke free from the police's restraint, grabbed a knife, and lunged at the 3 of us, but the police officer, quick and sharp-eyed, threw her to the ground with a swift shoulder toss. Pinned to the ground, Sujala still glared at us fiercely. "You'll get what's coming to you, you'll definitely get what's coming to you. I won, ha ha ha, in the past life, and in this one too, I won, ha 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 ha." 22. Sujala was taken away by the police. The counselor, afraid that we might reveal Sujala's situation and worried that it would affect the 3 of us, eventually discussed with the school and decided to let us directly enter the graduate program without taking the entrance exam. After returning from winter break, we heard that Qing Qigong had been discharged from the hospital. He was indeed seriously injured, but we never found out whether his private parts were affected. Qing Qigong dropped out of school shortly after returning. We heard that his father had arranged for him to go abroad. Another month passed, and the counselor called the 3 of us over, asking if we knew about the rebirth that Sujala kept talking about. The 3 of us exchanged glances and shook our heads, saying we didn't know. The counselor sighed and said that Sujala had been sent to a psychiatric hospital. She kept insisting that she was reborn and that you were also reborn. She said that in the previous life, you clearly stopped her, so why didn't you stop her this time? Sujala often secretly tried to commit suicide, muttering to herself that as long as she died, she could start over again. This time around, she said, she would definitely take military training seriously and stop thinking about those crooked paths. I feel a mix of regret and satisfaction about Sujala's fate in this life, regretful, yet still believing she had it coming. Some people always look for faults in others, yet never reflect on themselves. In the previous life, we earnestly advised her, only to end up poisoned by her. In this life, we didn't advise her, yet she still joined forces with her mother to shift the blame onto us. Her story has ended, but ours has just begun. In this life, I must study hard and experience all the aspects of college life that I missed out on in my previous life. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. In my previous life, I was bound to a fertility system by my husband, forced to bear children endlessly without my knowledge. In the end, they drained all my value, and I died on the operating table. After my death, they squandered the millions in wealth they had gained from the system through me. When I woke up again, I had returned to the moment just after the system was bound and I became pregnant. When I first got pregnant, my husband and I swapped bodies. With my face and a bulging belly, he kept urging me to find a way to switch back. This was what I had longed for. Why would I ever want to change back? In my past life, I died on the operating table from a difficult childbirth. I gave birth to 3 children for Andy, but during the 4th, I had a difficult labor and ultimately died on the operating table. Before I died, I couldn't bear to part with my children and my husband. Only after death did I realize that I was merely a tool they used to make money. Andy had bound me to a fertility system right after we got married. The more children I had, the smoother Andy's career and life became. So Andy kept coaxing me into getting pregnant and having children. In the end, I died on the operating table. I heard the system's mechanical voice announce, "The host has been bound to the exchange system. This system can randomly swap bodies with someone for a period of 6 months. After 6 months, the system will disappear. Once the system experience is completed, please give us a 5-star rating." Host. I raised my hand to touch my belly. I had been reborn to the time when I was just 2 months pregnant. During this period, spots appeared on my face, and I vomited every day to the point of being unable to eat, leaving me weak and sickly. Andy said, "Jane, this is our child. You're nurturing the fruit of our love. You're the greatest mother." At that time, I was deeply moved by these words. No matter how hard or exhausting it was, I felt it was all worth it. But now, I think such a great thing should be done by Andy. Andy came back from social engagements in the early hours of the morning, reeking of alcohol, and collapsed into bed as soon as he got home. I remember before I got pregnant, Andy was just an ordinary clerk. After I became pregnant, his career started to flourish, and now he's even risen to the position of project manager. I looked at Andy's sleeping face, which was full of pride and satisfaction. He must have been very happy during this time. I whispered, "System, can we start the life exchange now?" The system's cold voice instantly echoed in my mind, "As long as the host is ready, it can be done anytime. Please select the target for the exchange." I curled my lips slightly. "Let it be my husband." Target locked. Initiating body exchange. Exchange progress, 80%. I watched the progress bar above my head continuously change until it finally reached 100. The system's voice rang out in my mind once again. "Exchange successful. Duration 6 months. Please enjoy experiencing this substituted life. If you have any questions, the system is always available to answer." I looked up and saw my own familiar face, sallow, spotted, almost unrecognizable compared to my former self. At that moment, it was peacefully asleep with closed eyes. I curled my lips. The swap was successful. "Andy, enjoy experiencing your own pregnancy." System. In the middle of the night, I was awakened by a scream. Opening my eyes, I saw Andy staring at my face, his expression filled with horror. He shouted in terror, "Jane, what's going on? How did I turn into you?" I put on a surprised expression. "Andy, how are you using my face?" We stared at each other in shock. Half an hour later, Andy and I sat in the living room. He wiped his face with his hand and looked at me with a scrutinizing gaze. "Jane, do you really not know what's going on?" My voice trembling with fear, I threw myself into Andy's arms. "Andy, what on earth is happening? I'm so scared. How did we suddenly wake up in each other's bodies?" Andy reached out and hugged me, suppressing the disgust in my heart. I stayed still as he uttered those hypocritical words. "Don't be afraid, Jane, I'll find a way to switch us back." I pretended to wipe my tears and looked up at him from his embrace. "Really, but what about your work tomorrow?" Andy sighed. "You go tomorrow, we'll stay connected, and I'll tell you what to do. Don't overthink it, sweetie, we'll find a way to switch back." I nodded. Before bed, Andy went into the bathroom with a grim face. From outside, I clearly heard his voice inside. "What's going on? How did my body end up like this?" I couldn't hear what the system said in response, but I did hear Andy pounding the wall hard and complaining, "You don't know anything. What good are you, really? It seems the system is just a mechanical thing after all. It can't detect anything extra." That puts my mind at ease. I yawned and returned to the bedroom. After all, I had work the next day. The next day, I got up early. Andy looked pale and had already vomited several times in the bathroom. He sat listlessly on the sofa and instructed me, "Jane, call me if anything comes up later." I nodded, gathered my things, and headed out. I quickly got the hang of things when I joined the company. I remember back in school, Andy and I were alumni. My academic performance was much better than his, and I originally had great career prospects. He was the one who said he would take me back to his hometown to develop together. He said we were a team, that as long as he was around, I wouldn't have to work so hard. I just needed to enjoy life, so I gave up my promising future and moved to his hometown, taking an ordinary job close to home to make it easier to take care of the family. But what did Andy give me in return? I even feel that my death in my previous life wasn't unjust at all. Being love-struck always comes with a price. Now that I have a chance to start over, why would I repeat the same mistakes on the first day? I called Andy to ask a few HR-related questions, and on the second day, I inquired about some trivial matters. By the third day, I stopped asking anything because I had already fully mastered the job, even better than Andy, with the added advantage of his good luck system. In just half a month, I successfully negotiated several projects. Company social events were endless. One night when I returned late again, Andy sat on the sofa with a dark expression, saying coldly, "Do you even remember this home? Do you even know to come back? Jane, are you even a woman? I'm at home suffering through pregnancy, and you come back this late." I glanced up at Andy and said with a smile, "I'm exhausted from working to support the family too. Aren't all my work-related social engagements for the sake of this household?" Andy's face grew darker, but he had no rebuttal. He could only angrily say, "Hurry up and find a way to switch our bodies back. I can't stand this for even one more day." I curled my lips. "It hasn't been that long. Can't you handle it already? There are still several months to go. You'd better hold on." In the following days, Probably due to the emotional instability during pregnancy, Andy became increasingly irritable and started throwing tantrums, smashing things around the house. He glared at me fiercely. Jane, find a way to switch back quickly. I can't take it anymore. I can't eat a single bite of food every day, and even drinking water makes me vomit. This is fucking not a life a human should live. I glanced at Andy with a calm expression. Didn't you say this was a great thing? Just bear with it a little longer. 1 month of body swapping. Andy stopped me at the entrance of the neighborhood. His belly was already showing, his hair disheveled, and his eyes bloodshot as he grabbed me and screamed hysterically, Jane, are you deliberately avoiding switching our bodies back? Are you hiding from me? Jane's pregnancy is your problem. Hurry up and switch our bodies back. It was rush hour, and quite a few people had gathered around. I curled my lips slightly and whispered to Andy, yeah, why should I switch back? Andy glared at me with dark, venomous eyes. Bitch, you damn bitch, I'm going to tell everyone. I'm the real Andy. It was you bitch, who swapped our bodies. His sharp, loud voice drew everyone's attention. Seeing that almost everyone had gathered, I sighed helplessly. Jane, let's go back. Stop it. I know you're under pressure, but I'm also exhausted from working to support the family. I pulled an all-nighter at the office to finish my work. And I came back as soon as I was done. Andy pushed me away abruptly. I'm the one making a scene, Jane. I'm the real Andy. I should be the one working. You're the one who should stay home and have babies. My face twisted in shock and disbelief as I stared at him. Jane, what are you talking about? I'm Andy. Jane, what's wrong with you? Is the pregnancy stress getting to you? Let me take you to the hospital. People around were whispering, and one auntie pulled me aside. Young man, you must pay close attention to the pregnant woman's mood. She seems to be under a lot of mental stress, which can easily, she pointed at her head while looking at me, though not explicitly stated. Everyone understood what she meant. I quickly nodded. Got it, Auntie. I'll put my work aside and take good care of her. I turned to Andy, a smirk playing at the corners of my lips, and silently mouthed, see, everyone says you're sick. Andy indeed seemed to have lost his mind, with a twisted expression. He lunged forward to grab my clothes, shouting, I'm not sick, I'm not sick, everything I said is true. He looked around desperately for help, pleading, she's the real Jane, she swapped bodies with me, I'm really Andy, please, help me, I beg you. With an apologetic look at the people around us, I had no choice but to call 120 to have Andy taken away. At the hospital, the doctor gave her a sedative, and only then did she calm down. When I woke up, I was sitting by the hospital bed, sipping the porridge I had bought. He glanced at me weakly, his gaze full of resentment. I will definitely find a way to switch back. Just wait, Jane, I will definitely find a way. I shrugged indifferently. Fine, I'll wait and see. Then I placed the porridge by his bedside. Have some, you'll need the energy to figure out how to switch back. It's not that I'm particularly kind, it's just that the body is my own, and I'll have to switch back when the time comes. As soon as I stepped out of the hospital room, I heard Andy on the phone, his voice choked with tears. Mom, I didn't listen to the rest of what was said, because I know all too well what kind of person my mother-in-law is. Before we got married, she treated me very well, but then she started constantly finding fault. She only became a bit better when I was pregnant. It wasn't long before I received a call from my mother-in-law, her voice warm and affectionate on the other end. Andy, how have you been lately? I mimicked Andy's tone and replied, I'm doing fine, Mom. Her voice immediately responded, fine, you always like to share the good news but not the bad. That Jane has no skills to speak of but a terrible temper. She just called me and rambled on like a madwoman. Andy, why don't I come over to take care of you? I curled the corner of my lips and replied with a smile, then I'll trouble you, Mom. I remember in my past life, Andy's mom came too, saying she was here to take care of me, but in reality, it wasn't like that. She claimed to treat me well, yet we had to wait for Andy to come home before we could eat every day. Any good food had to be given to Andy first. She said Andy worked hard to support the family, while she and I were just idle at home, so naturally, we should prioritize the one who worked hard. If Andy hadn't come back that day, it would have been just thin porridge and leftovers. This time, Andy should taste the bitterness himself. Fiona arrived quickly, coming that very night. When I went to pick her up, Andy immediately ran over and grabbed Fiona's hand. Mom, you're finally here. Fiona awkwardly pulled her hand away and glanced at me. I had already told her on the way that Andy had been in a bad mood these days because of her pregnancy. He's developed delusional disorder. I'll take him to the hospital once I clear some work. Fiona gave him a disdainful look and walked up to me. Andy, you just focus on working from now on. I'll take care of the household. I nodded. The next day when I returned after working all day, the house was in complete chaos. There were many missed calls on my phone, but I didn't answer a single one. I knew it was Andy calling, but I deliberately didn't answer. What kind of person is she? I know Andy better than anyone. It would be strange if Andy, who's in my body, could get away with it. As soon as the door opened, Fiona immediately sat on the floor wailing, then turned to look at me. Andy, do you know how hard it is for me? I came all this way to take care of your wife, and what does she do? She goes crazy saying she's Andy and you're Jane. I said we'd eat when you got back, but she acted like a starving ghost reborn, insisting on eating right away. If I didn't let her, she'd flip the table. Andy, let's take her to the hospital for a checkup. I looked at Andy, who was sitting on the floor in a disheveled maternity dress, his eyes filled with venom as he glared at me. Jane, you're so cruel. Are you satisfied now that you've taken everything from me? I hadn't even spoken when Fiona immediately stepped forward and slapped her across the face. Have you recovered from your madness yet? You're tearing this family apart. I never agreed to Andy marrying you in the first place. What kind of trash are you? You're utterly unworthy of my son. I watched coldly as mother and son went at each other's throats. The sight of dogs biting dogs was truly exceptionally satisfying. At night, Andy stood eerily in the corner, his gaze filled with venom as he stared at me, holding a kitchen knife. I was startled for a moment when I saw it, but quickly regained my composure. Andy wouldn't dare. He's too cowardly and useless to actually do anything. Besides, he couldn't bear to lose all this, the promotion brought to him by the pregnancy system, along with my intentional or unintentional hints that I was thriving in the company using his identity, likely to get another promotion and raise within half a year. How could he bear to give all this up? He just wanted to swap bodies back and continue enjoying the success he had achieved through a woman. Andy's long hair covered half his face, his belly slightly swollen, his eyes dark and gloomy. Jane, swap our bodies back, or I'll take us both down. Just as I was about to speak, Fiona's scream rang out from the doorway. Half an hour later, the police arrived and gave Andy a stern lecture. Andy, tears streaming down his face, grabbed the officer's hand and sobbed, "Officer, you must help me. I'm the real Andy. Jane switched identities with me. Please, I beg you to help me. I can't live like this for even one more day." The officer glanced at me helplessly and said, "He still needs to be sent for treatment as soon as possible." The next day, Fiona and I forcibly took Andy to the psychiatric hospital. He screamed and struggled, insisting he wasn't mentally ill and that everything was true, but no one would believe him. The doctor injected him with a sedative, then shook his head. "Her mind has already deteriorated. Her child cannot be kept." I nodded, putting on an expression of extreme sorrow. "I'll think about it. Thank you, doctor." After being discharged from the hospital, I curled the corners of my lips as I held the doctor's diagnosis, carefully tucking it into my bag. Andy, sedated, had already fallen asleep. Fiona glanced at Andy in the back seat and whispered, "She's already like that. Maybe you should just divorce her. Our Lee family can't be ruined by this lunatic." I looked at Andy and put on a reluctant expression. "Let's wait and see. It's just that you'll have to bear the burden from now on." "Mom," Andy was brought back, and Fiona suggested tying him up with a rope. I pretended to disagree, but Fiona tearfully said, "Andy, I know you can't bear to, but this is the only way Mom can take care of her properly. Don't worry, Mom won't treat her badly." Only then did I reluctantly nod in agreement. "Oh Andy, Andy, this was your mother's request." After just 3 days of this, Andy was crying and begging me. "Jane, I was wrong. I'll behave. Please let me go." Looking at Andy, who had become a pitiful mess in just a few days, I felt extremely satisfied. The only downside was that this body was my own. I believed Andy and let him go. True to his word, he became much more obedient, though he still went out frequently. Fiona complained to me every day, "Andy, look at her. She's pregnant but still running around without a care. Who knows if that baby in her belly is even yours?" I deliberately put on a surprised expression. "Really?" Fiona immediately nodded. "Look at her. She doesn't seem like a decent person at all. Who knows how many men she's been messing around with." By the time Andy returned, the night was already dark. Fiona scowled and said sarcastically, "Oh, so you finally decided to come back. What a shameless, low-class woman." Time flew by quickly. With the good fortune brought by the lucky pregnancy system, I used Andy's identity to win another bonus and even got a raise. Suddenly, I understood. With such favorable winds, who could resist? There were still 3 months left, and Andy was becoming more and more docile. He seemed to have completely accepted his current identity, his belly already quite noticeable. While I was still hesitating about how to handle this child, Andy had an accident. He was pushed to the ground by Fiona and had a miscarriage. Andy lay on the hospital bed, glaring venomously at Fiona, while she appeared utterly indifferent. Her voice rose sharply. "You shameless slut, going out every day. Who knows if that belly of yours is even carrying our Lee family's seed? Now that it's gone, good riddance. At least my Andy won't have to play the fool for you. Once a loving mother and son, now they can't stand the sight of each other." I couldn't help but wonder, what would Fiona's reaction be if she knew the one she's tormenting is her own precious darling son? The child is gone, and Fiona refuses to deliver meals to Andy at the hospital every day. Only I consistently bring him takeout from the restaurant on time, without fail, each meal packed with nourishing and restorative ingredients. Andy looked at me with intense emotion, gripping my hand. "Jane, you still love me, don't you? There was just a misunderstanding between us before. You see, you still can't bear to leave me alone." I rolled my eyes inwardly at his words but said nothing, just walking away dejectedly. In the days that followed, Andy began showering me with all sorts of favors. Thinking I still had feelings for him, he stopped making a fuss and simply said to me, "Jane, just focus on your work. I know how hard it is for you. If we can't switch back, then so be it." I looked at him in astonishment, only to see a faint trace of feigned affection on his face. The days that followed were extremely peaceful, although the good pregnancy system temporarily became useless after the miscarriage. I didn't need it at all. I am excellent on my own. Without relying on that system that feeds on women's blood, I can still reach the top step by step. Without love clouding my vision, I climbed even higher in my career. Seeing this, Andy didn't feel upset. Instead, he happily took my hand and said affectionately, "Jane, you're truly amazing. I'm not worthy of comparison." I curled my lips slightly. Of course, he couldn't compare to me. Without the luck brought by the system, he was just a good-for-nothing. Time flies, and half a year passed quickly. I experienced the feeling of striving in the workplace and rediscovered my confident and vibrant self. On the night before the switch back, Andy's eyes sparkled with excitement. For the first time ever, he prepared a table full of delicious dishes. This was also the first time I learned that he could actually cook, and he was quite skilled at it. Fiona said sarcastically from the side, "Humph. Now you know how hard Andy works, don't you?" Andy didn't argue back. It was clear he was happy. When we returned to the bedroom, I looked at Andy and spoke in a gentle tone. "Andy, no one would believe this body-swapping thing. Let's just keep living well like this." Andy didn't object, as if he had truly been worn down and accepted the reality. He nodded meekly. I stepped forward and hugged him, glancing at the fleeting figure outside the door crack from the corner of my eye. Fiona must have heard everything. The next day, the moment I opened my eyes, I saw Andy's enlarged face right in front of me. His face was full of joy and pride, his excitement completely unconcealed, as he proudly told me, "Jane, I've found a way to switch back. I was afraid you wouldn't agree, so I didn't tell you. Jane, thank you for helping me with work matters during this time. From now on, I'll handle things myself. Jane, you're a woman, you should stay home, have children, and take care of the family. What happened before was just a momentary lapse in judgment. I won't hold it against you. Let's live well together from now on. If we lose one child, we can have a second or third." Looking at Andy's excited face, my desolate expression formed a stark contrast to his. He smiled with particular smugness. "I still love you. I'll treat you well from now on. Don't overthink it. I'm going to work." Watching Andy's retreating figure, my gaze dimmed slightly. The system's mechanical voice echoed in my mind. "The experience has ended. Please rate it, host." I raised my hand. Of course, it was a 5-star review. The evaluation ended, and the system vanished as if it had never existed. My exchange system only lasted 6 months, but that was more than enough. I don't know how long Andy's system lasted, but I remember in my previous life, the system was still there until the day I died. The door burst open, and Fiona stumbled in, throwing her arms around me. "Andy, my Andy, what kind of dark magic did that bitch use to swap you two? It's all my fault, Andy. I didn't recognize you." I could tell from Fiona's expression that she had heard everything I said last night. I reached out and hugged Fiona back, my voice trembling and choked with sobs. "Mom, I'm scared. I'm afraid I'll stay like this forever." afraid he'll kill me. Jane must have used some trick to make me wake up like this. Fiona grabbed my hand and said coldly, "That bitch, don't worry, Mom won't let her off easy." I quickly held Fiona back. "Mom, you can't win against her. If she finds out, she definitely won't let you go either." A flash of ruthlessness crossed Fiona's eyes. "Don't worry, Andy. Mom knows what she's doing." I just watched Fiona leave, barely able to contain the excitement in my eyes. The show is about to begin. When Andy returned, he was in high spirits. Although he had suffered for 6 months, it wasn't until he went to the company today that he realized just how capable I am. Relying on Andy alone, he would never have achieved what we have now in this lifetime, of course. That's a different story if we're talking about the system. He plopped down on the chair. "Mom, I'm hungry," Fiona responded and brought out the food from the kitchen, while Andy ate with a smug expression. After washing up, he leaned in close to me. "Jane, let's have another child." I looked up at him, then smiled. He thought I agreed, but I pushed him away. Andy froze for a moment. "Jane, having a child could help us mend our relationship. If you're not willing tonight, it's fine, I can wait for you." I looked at Andy and said softly, "I know that Taoist priest." Andy paused for a second, staring at me in shock. "What do you mean?" I watched as the smile on his face widened, then I shouted, "Jane, what are you doing? Are you trying to kill me?" Then I ran outside. Andy immediately chased after me, confused and shouting, "What are you talking about?" Fiona rushed out of the kitchen with a knife, her gaze at Andy as sharp as poison. Hiding behind Fiona, I yelled, "Mom, Jane is trying to kill me. She said killing me would let her take over my body forever." Fiona's eyes instantly turned red with rage as she glared at Andy. "You bitch, give my son's body back to him now." Andy hurriedly explained, "Mom, I'm Andy, I've already switched our bodies back." I grabbed Fiona's hand and said sharply, "He's lying to you, Mom, don't believe him. He was just trying to kill me." "Mom, is he going to silence both of us by killing us?" Fiona's eyes instantly turned red with rage. "I'll chop this little bitch to death first." I immediately chimed in, "Mom, since we can't switch bodies back anyway, if we don't kill him now, he'll definitely kill us someday." I tempted Fiona, "As long as he dies, the two of us will inherit the property by succession without any loss. Everything will belong to us, mother and child." I paused and continued, "If he doesn't die, all the money I've worked hard to save will be his. He's using my body and my money. How could he let me live? Now that you know his true identity, he won't spare you either. Mom, let's kill him together. Let's kill Jane together." Seeing Fiona being swayed by me, Andy immediately shouted excitedly, "Mom, don't listen to her. I've switched bodies back with her. I'm the real Andy now." I interrupted him, "Mom, do you believe him?" Fiona glared fiercely at Andy. "You're still trying to deceive me. I heard everything last night. Die, you bitch." I watched as Fiona took a knife to attack Andy, a smile instantly appearing on my face, though my voice still carried urgency. "Mom, let me help you." My gaze, however, remained fixed on Andy, eyes filled with a hint of provocation. Andy was the easiest to provoke, and sure enough, he glared at me with reddened eyes and roared, "You dare incite my mom to kill me? I'll take you down first, you bitch." Feigning fear, I cried, "Mom, look, he wants to kill me. He just wants to use my identity forever." Fiona swung a kitchen knife at Andy, but Andy, being a grown man, was strong and robust. Fiona was no match for him. Fiona was pushed to the ground, while I smashed a stool hard onto Andy's head. Blood gushed from his forehead, and within moments, his face was covered in blood. Combined with his ferocious expression, he looked utterly terrifying. He glared at me furiously, "Bitch, I was going to spare your life, but you're asking for death." I looked up at him, then turned my head and shouted to Fiona behind him, "Mom, save me." Fiona struggled to her feet and staggered toward Andy. Caught off guard, Andy was knocked to the ground by her. Fiona swung the kitchen knife at Andy, but her strength wasn't enough. Andy ended up with several wounds, though none were fatal. Perhaps spurred by the pain, Andy snatched the kitchen knife from Fiona and slashed at her with brutal force. Blood splattered across his face. Fiona soon stopped moving, her body collapsing to the ground, her eyes wide open and fixed on Andy in a deathly stare. Andy froze for a moment, then let out a piercing scream, "Mom." His eyes reddened as he looked up at me, and I knew he hated me to the core. He cursed, "Jane, you bitch, you'll pay with your life for my mother." Fiona was dead, and I dropped the act, sneering at him, "Wasn't it you who killed her? TSK TSK, how ruthless." just one slash. A single slash was all it took to kill her. Andy, you're truly vicious. Andy couldn't accept the truth at all. He roared at me, no, it's not like that. It's you, you bitch, who killed her. I'll kill you. Already wounded by Fiona, Andy was low on stamina and was easily kicked to the ground by me. I stomped on Andy's hand holding the knife, grinding it hard with the tip of my shoe. Worthless trash. You think I spent these 6 months doing nothing to prepare? The reason I came back so late every day was because I was taking self-defense lessons, all for this very moment. Andy struggled to get up, but I stomped hard on his chest. He turned pale from the pain. I picked up the kitchen knife from the floor. We were once husband and wife, so I'll let you die. With clarity, switching bodies was my doing. Did you think you were the only one with a system, that I had nothing? I've known all along about the time you got back. Did you really think that Taoist priest helped you? I smirked proudly. That priest was arranged by me. I gave him some money and told him you were mentally ill, just to play along with you. Did you think you were so clever, knowing everything, Andy? You've been following my plan from the very beginning. I swung the kitchen knife hard at his neck, warm blood splashing onto my face. The resentment from my past life finally dissipated at this moment. I was never a good person to begin with. I've been waiting for this day since the start, since I died because of Andy. It's only natural he should repay me with his life. His death must have taken that so-called luck system with him. It's just a shame it was a system. If I had the power, I'd destroy it with my own hands. What kind of luck system is this? Profiting by draining the flesh and blood of women. Childbirth is a sacred act, not a tool to shackle women, nor should it be exploited by this so-called system. Only a loser like Andy could achieve fame and success by relying on such a system. Everything was over. Lying in a pool of blood, I dialed the emergency number. The police took me away. 6 months later, I stood before Andy's grave and casually tossed a bouquet of flowers onto the ground, taking off the sunglasses. A hint of pride flashed in their eyes. Did you think I was working hard for you those 6 months? I was just saving up a little more inheritance for myself, that's all. I pulled out that psychiatric evaluation from my bag and waved it in front of his tombstone. The mentally ill don't go to jail for murder, you know. All your inheritance is mine now. I took Andy's inheritance, donated a portion to the mountainous regions, and kept the rest for myself. I think if I couldn't be reborn, without the so-called system's help, would probably die with regret. Sometimes it really feels like a dream, and in the end, I broke through the nightmare and gained my freedom. After hearing the second story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. In my previous life, I was driven to madness by my husband Carl's controlling nature. He imposed hundreds of household rules on me, both big and small. No speaking loudly at home, no watching what he deemed as mindless variety shows. After returning home, actively mute the phone and refrain from making or answering calls casually. During off-duty hours, messages received from colleagues, especially those of the opposite sex, must be replied to only with his permission. Clothes worn daily must not be revealing in any way. Go to bed at a fixed time every day, strictly controlling the daily routine. If I fail to complete any one of them, he will punish me severely. When I was beaten black and blue, Carl would just watch me coldly. I'm doing all this for your own good. Why can't you understand my good intentions? If you just obeyed, you could have become as excellent as me. I absolutely won't allow you to wallow in self-destruction. Outside, everyone praises Carl as a great husband who keeps the household perfectly in order. Little do they know, my daily life is on the verge of collapse. Unable to bear it any longer, I filed for divorce. My husband couldn't bear the provocation and chose to kill me with a knife. Excruciating pain spread throughout my body as I mustered my last ounce of strength to glare at my husband. His eyes were ice cold. Sarah, you've disappointed me so much. Someone as outstanding as me absolutely cannot accept being divorced, so just go die. Tormented by his sick and selfish thoughts all my life, I died with resentment. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself reborn. The house still had the familiar setup, and my husband Carl was furious because I had, presumptuously, replied to a message from the company's boss. Ding, would you like to bind the cheating system to your husband Carl? It took me a while to process what was happening. Due to my rebirth, I unexpectedly gained the ability to bind a cheating system. However, the target of the binding wasn't myself, but my husband. Staring at Carl, who kept lecturing me non-stop, I didn't hesitate to choose to bind Sarah. My husband looked at me with an expression of exasperation. How many times have I told you? There are house rules. Chatting with other men without permission. I must punish you today. Let's see if you'll remember this next time." He flashed that sickly smile again. My husband Carl serves as the head of the technology department at a tech company, meticulous and detail-oriented. He has earned unanimous praise from everyone, yet at home, he finds pleasure in tormenting me. He took out a slender bamboo stick. This kind of bamboo stick causes excruciating pain when it strikes a person. Carl was just about to act when the system's voice rang out again. Because I agreed to bind with my husband, Carl could now also hear the system's voice. "Alert, the system will issue its first task. Host, please prepare yourself." What the hell? Carl frowned, raising and then lowering his hand that was about to hit me. Task content. Host Carl must complete, staying out all night, once. Task duration, from this moment until 8 a.m. tomorrow. Mission success reward, 10,000 yuan. Mission failure penalty, brief electric shock. Who the hell is messing with me? Carl was furious, even forgetting to keep hitting me, pretending to know nothing. I quickly escaped back to the bedroom to sleep. Lying in bed, the pain of being hurt by Carl in my past life once again surfaced in my mind. That agony seemed to crawl all over my body again, making me loathe him to the core. Reborn. I must make Carl, that scumbag, pay the price. Carl didn't seem to believe the system's words at all. He has always prided himself on extreme self-discipline, but I know it's all just an act. His wandering thoughts are perfect for disciplining with this cheating system. Because of the system issue, bedtime was already delayed by half an hour. Carl didn't have time to hit me and just collapsed into sleep, soon snoring away. The next morning, the wall clock pointed exactly to 8 o'clock. Carl, who had just woken up, suddenly convulsed all over and fell straight onto the floor. At that moment, the system voice sounded right on time. Host Carl's mission has timed out and is judged as a failure, administering electric shock punishment now. Carl wanted to curse but couldn't get the words out, his whole body convulsing uncontrollably on the ground. I secretly rejoiced in my heart. The infidelity system was showing its power. Watching him in such a pathetic state filled me with immense satisfaction. But I can't let him know yet that this system was actually bound by me. I pretended to panic and shouted, honey, what's wrong with you? I'll call an ambulance right away. He's covered in electricity right now. I'm not foolish enough to go help him up." Had just pulled out my phone when I saw Carl lying on the ground, struggling to speak. Don't make the call. I look too pathetic like this. This guy is truly beyond help. I really don't know what I saw in him in my past life. I didn't die unjustly in my past life, but now that I've been reborn, I'll make sure Carl tastes despair. Hearing Carl refuse to call an ambulance himself, I immediately put my phone away. The electric shock ended after just a moment. Before Carl could catch his breath, the system voice sounded again. Next, the host will be assigned a second task. What? His face twisted in disbelief. How is there still more? This is hilarious. I was the one who bound this system for him, without my consent. His tasks will continue endlessly. Either obediently follow the system's orders to cheat, or be punished to death. Warning, the system will issue the second task. Please prepare yourself, host. Carl's face instantly turned pale. After the painful lesson just now, he had come to understand that this so-called system was definitely not as simple as a prank. If he didn't complete the tasks obediently, he would surely face punishment. Mission content. Host Carl must pursue a female colleague from his own company. Mission duration, within 3 days starting immediately. Reward for successful completion, 50,000 yuan. Penalty for failure, mild. Electric shock. The rewards and penalties for tasks have been increased. Carl's face looked extremely unpleasant. Isn't this forcing him to cheat? I continued to feign ignorance. Honey, why are you stunned? Is there still somewhere you're not feeling well? Should we go to the hospital for a checkup? Carl pushed me away rudely. It's fine. I need to get ready to go out, but I haven't even had breakfast yet. Eating breakfast at home every day is also one of our family rules, but now it's already late, and if I don't leave for the office soon, I'll be late. Carl thought about the system's task again, and his expression became very complicated. Let it pass this time, but don't let it happen again. After saying that, he immediately went to the bathroom to wash up and casually sprayed on some men's cologne. It seems that to avoid further electric shocks, he has somewhat compromised. As soon as my husband left the house, I immediately contacted the private detective I had arranged in advance. I bet my husband will definitely make a move in the coming days. Only by gathering evidence of his affair can I take the initiative. That night, Carl didn't return until 10:30 p.m. This would never have happened before. Although he's the technical leader at the company, his high efficiency at work meant he never worked overtime. This had become his signature trait. I sat at the dining table in the living room, staring at him with a livid expression. The table still held dinner for two when Carl saw me. His expression suddenly turned guilty. "Why are you only coming back now?" I demanded coldly. Carl's tone became flustered for the first time. I was working overtime at the company." I slammed the table. "What does the family rule say? Working overtime without permission is not allowed for the sake of the family. In case of special circumstances, you must report to your partner and obtain their consent." In my previous life, he often used the family rules to torment me, which made me very familiar with all these clauses. Carl still wanted to argue, but the words stuck in his throat. He was a man of low taste, and self-discipline was merely his excuse. He took pleasure in catching me violating the house rules, and every time he punished me, he could condescendingly display his sense of superiority, but those house rules were inherently inhumane. Gradually, Carl developed a pathological sense of discipline. When the company required overtime, he would push it all onto the new employees. At the company dinner, he ordered his female subordinate to drink with clients, yet he himself abstained from alcohol completely. When his father-in-law called in the middle of the night with a medical emergency, he muted the call and went back to sleep. Fortunately, a neighbor discovered the situation and saved the man's life. He said that no one should disturb him during his sleep time. This is all part of his discipline as his wife. If you can't align with his routine, you'll be punished. What a freak. Now, seeing him hesitate to speak, I couldn't help but sneer. "Go on. Why don't you say it? Why did you break the family rules? Because you didn't like them?" I looked at him with a mocking expression. "Don't forget, these so-called house rules were all set by you." Carl glared at me furiously, his face flushed with anger. "So what? I just came home late once. It's not like I committed some cardinal sin. Stop making a mountain out of a molehill." He angrily locked the bedroom door from the inside. "Talking back to your own husband. Tonight's punishment is no bed for you. I'd be more than happy to sleep in separate rooms." Just as I entered the spare bedroom, the private detective sent me the day's findings. In the photo, Carl and a young woman were chatting and laughing as they entered a restaurant. The two had dinner by the open-air riverside, and he even drank red wine with her, which was rare for him. Shortly after, the private detective sent me the woman's information. "Jenny, a female employee from the same company as Carl. My current job is as the company's front desk receptionist, married. My husband's name is Wilson. He's the owner and coach of a local fitness club. Damn, asked him to flirt with a female colleague, and he went for the extra challenge of seducing a married woman. Could it be that Carl's original surname was Stewart?" Finally, the private detective dropped a bombshell. "According to the investigation, this Jenny and your husband Carl didn't just start getting cozy recently. Turns out they've been making eyes at each other for quite some time, so the cheating system actually gave him courage." I gathered all the information and had a private detective find the contact details of Jenny's husband for me. The next evening, knowing he was in the wrong, my husband specifically sent me a message. "There's an important meeting at the company tonight. I have to work overtime. Figure out dinner on your own." I promptly replied with an okay. When Carl came home drunk in the evening, he noticed the lights in the living room were still on. Me, my parents-in-law, and Carl's younger sister were all sitting on the sofa. "What are you all doing here?" I laughed and said, "What, can't Mom, Dad, and my sister come?" Father-in-law had always held a grudge against Carl and asked coldly with a straight face, "What's the matter? Not welcome?" Carl, now feeling guilty, didn't dare to say anything unnecessary. No. "How could we not welcome you, Mom, Dad, and my little sister? It's just that it's so late now, and according to house rules, Sarah and I need to get some rest." Carl's younger sister, Sherry, bounced up to him and sniffed. "That's a strong smell of alcohol." Sherry deliberately pinched her nose and feigned disgust. "Bro, sis-in-law said you were working overtime at the company, but clearly you were out drinking." Why do I smell perfume too?" The parents-in-law immediately changed their expressions. Over the years, they've endured no small amount of frustration from their son. In their previous life, even when the in-laws scolded their son as selfish and ungrateful, it was to no avail. Carl claims to be a disciplined person, and no one can change that about him. He filled his home with motivational self-help literature, urging everyone to be as disciplined as he is. Plan your life meticulously, keeping every day firmly in your grasp. This is his famous saying. Now he's actually starting to indulge himself. The mother-in-law immediately started scolding. "How could I have given birth to such an ungrateful wretch like you, forcing the family to follow so-called house rules while sneaking out to fool around yourself?" I sprang up from the couch in an instant and moved closer to Carl to sniff him. Sure enough, there was the scent of perfume, a fragrance I'd never smelled before. I immediately started throwing a tantrum. "You damn Carl, how dare you mess around outside, I'll fight you to the death." I rushed at him and we got into a scuffle. Carl, being much bigger, shoved me away with one push. The mother-in-law and sister took out their phones to record the screen. "Everyone, look, the domestic abuser is hitting someone. Carl's selfish nature has caused the entire family to side with me, but when he's drunk and his temper flares up, no one can stop him. I was having dinner with a client, nothing inappropriate. If you can't provide evidence, all of you get out." My in-laws and younger sister were quickly kicked out. As for me, I took 2 solid slaps from him. There was no one else at home, and Carl didn't bother pretending with me anymore. He grabbed my neck in an instant. "I'm warning you, don't play any of your clever little games. I'm the one who calls the shots in this house. What good will bringing Mom, Dad, and your sister do?" I struggled with all my might. "You cheated and still have the nerve to act righteous." In his panic, Carl actually loosened his grip. "I didn't." "Go ahead, show me the evidence if you can." I rubbed my sore neck. With someone like Carl, even if you showed him photos of his date with Jenny, he'd probably still deny it. After all, without solid evidence, given Carl's unreasonable nature, I'm no match for him. All I can do is keep enduring and wait for the right moment. At this moment, the system voice suddenly rang in both of our minds. "Host Carl's mission is successful, and the reward will now be issued. 50,000 yuan reward has been transferred." Carl immediately took out his phone and checked his mobile banking app. Before long, he showed an expression of ecstasy. Who would have thought that cheating could also be profitable? For Carl, who had already lost all moral boundaries, it was simply killing 2 birds with 1 stone. On the other hand, sneered and returned to my bedroom. I should have realized long ago that so-called house rules only take effect when I break them. As soon as I entered the room, the system voice sounded again. "Notification, the system will now issue the 3rd mission. Please prepare yourself, host." I quietly cracked open the door and saw my husband sitting on the couch, his face full of anticipation. It seems he's already starting to enjoy the thrill of cheating. Mission content: host Carl checks into a hotel with a female colleague. Mission duration: within 3 days from now. Mission success reward: 500,000 yuan. Mission failure penalty: high-intensity electric shock. Great! Carl slapped his thigh, as if that $500,000 prize was already within reach. Early the next morning, Carl hummed a tune while fixing his hair in front of the dressing table, looking in excellent spirits. Seeing me come out, he said, "There's a new project launching at the company today. Don't wait for me tonight." I blurted out, "Working overnight?" Carl froze for a moment, frowning as he looked at me. "It depends." After packing up, he walked out the door without looking back. The so-called "it depends" probably means he's going to ask his little sweetheart Jenny for her opinion, doesn't it? That evening, Carl's WeChat message arrived right on time. "Tonight the company has an important project to handle. All leaders must stay overnight." He even sent a photo of himself sitting in the company's conference room. I really admire my husband. My doubts were written all over my face, yet he still found time to put on an act with me. To be fair, I should thank him for taking the time out of his busy schedule to fool me. I very understandingly replied with an "okay." Not long after, the private investigator's video came through. In the video, Carl and Jenny were intimately embracing each other as they entered a hotel. The detective then told me their room number. I immediately contacted Jenny's husband, Wilson, upon hearing that his wife had checked into a hotel with someone else. Wilson couldn't believe it, until I revealed my identity and then sent him the video of the 2 of them going to the hotel. Wilson was furious. "Son of a bitch, I treated her so well, and she still cheated on me behind my back. Just wait till I beat the shit out of that cheating couple." I was secretly delighted. "Hit them, we must teach them a lesson." Wilson and I immediately rushed to the hotel. When we arrived at the hotel, we found that Wilson had brought along his gym buddies. Each of them was burly and seething with anger, ready to vent anger for his cuckolded brother at any moment. The management of the Love Hotel wasn't strict, and our group quickly reached the floor where Carl was having his affair. "Brother Wu, should we just break the door down?" asked a burly young man. "If we alerted them, Carl and Jenny would definitely refuse to open the door. The hotel front desk wouldn't help us catch someone cheating either." I wanted to capture some more explosive footage, so we had to catch them off guard. Just then, a food delivery guy walked by humming a tune. Damn, why are there so many people here? As luck would have it, the takeout was ordered by Carl. I snatched it and opened it. Inside were condoms. Nice. Still remembering safety measures at a time like this. The delivery guy looked shocked. "You guys aren't playing together, are you? Get lost." Wilson propped up the delivery guy. having him help knock open the door. As soon as the door opened, a group of burly men swarmed in, the delivery guy shouted, "Stay safe," and bolted. "What are you doing?" "Ah!" Screams immediately erupted in the room. "Damn it, you're really here?" Wilson's voice rang out. "I'll beat you to death, you bastard." Not wanting to miss the exciting part, I rushed in immediately. Wilson grabbed Jenny by the hair and slapped her hard twice, hit them all. The other underlings immediately rushed forward upon receiving the order. However, since she was the boss's wife, no one dared to strike with lethal force. Even so, Jenny still screamed in agony from the beating. I quickly took out my phone and started recording, capturing the entire scene of the barely clothed Jenny being beaten. "What are you doing? Stop it!" Carl, used to being domineering at home, still put on an arrogant attitude despite being clearly in the wrong for cheating. "Let Jenny go right now. What kind of man hits a woman? No wonder Jenny left you." Wilson had planned to deal with Carl later, since Carl was asking for it. Wilson wouldn't hold back. He grabbed Carl's arm and delivered a fierce punch straight to his face. The husband's face was instantly covered in blood. Wilson never holds back when beating a man. Hit them all. The muscular men dragged Carl off the bed and pinned him to the ground, beating him mercilessly. How could I miss such a thrilling scene? I immediately rushed forward to film it. One of Carl's legs was broken, someone kicked him in the stomach, and Carl let out a wail as he curled up on the ground. I took the opportunity to go up and stomped on it a couple of times. No reason not to hit it when it's free. Seeing that the situation was about right, I quietly slipped away, leaving no trace of my involvement. As soon as I got home, I immediately started editing the video. Then, by accident, it was uploaded online by a specialized internet team. That night, the news of Carl's affair with the company receptionist went viral online. As for me, I slept soundly through the night. Early the next morning, my in-laws and their entire family came to our door, ready to teach their worthless son a lesson. But I told them Carl never came back. LOL, got beaten to a pulp himself. How could he have the nerve to come back? After my in-laws left, I called Carl. "You worthless scum, did you film that video?" I sneered. "What? You can check into a hotel with another woman, but I can't record a video. Damn it, do you even know? Everyone online is cursing me now. How am I supposed to live from now on? Like I care how you live. If you knew you couldn't bear the consequences, why did you do it in the first place? I'm the victim here. Don't you find it ridiculous to say these things to me?" "But, I just made the same mistake any man in the world would make, by saying that. Do you think all the men in the world would agree with you?" Carl was left speechless. He wanted to explain about the system, but the words died on his lips. Given the current situation, there was no need for any explanation anymore. I coldly uttered 2 words, "Divorce." Carl laughed viciously over the phone. "Sarah, do you think you can get rid of me so easily? I'm telling you, dream on." I absolutely refused to agree to a divorce. He hung up the phone directly. Now I have evidence of his infidelity, and I'm determined to divorce, even if it means going through litigation. But at the thought of this, scenes from my past life suddenly flashed through my mind. Back then, I was also adamant about divorcing, which enraged Carl. Now, he seems mentally more fragile than in my previous life. A chill ran through my heart. Could it be that in this life, I would repeat the same mistakes? Just at that moment, I heard the system's voice. "Host Carl's mission is successful. Rewards will now be issued. $500,000 in rewards has been transferred." I feel a bit emotional. Carl has paid quite a price for that 500,000 yuan. Now, the company he works for has been exposed and is being relentlessly cyberbullied by netizens. The company's boss has already come forward, stating they will verify the situation as soon as possible. If the online video's content is confirmed to be true, the company will definitely fire an unethical employee like Carl, getting beaten up for that 500,000, suffering public humiliation online, and ultimately losing the job. No matter how you look at it, it's just not worth it. I bet the husband is hiding somewhere full of regrets right now. Just thinking about this puts me in a good mood. But making your husband despair is not enough. At worst, I won't divorce you. Just wait and see how I deal with you. At this moment, the system continued to issue tasks. Notice, the system will now release the 4th task. Please prepare yourself. Host, mission content. Host Carl must marry a female colleague. Mission duration, within 3 months starting immediately. Reward for success, $30 million. Penalty for failure, destructive level electric shock. Even I was stunned for a moment. Is this the final mission of the cheating system? It actually wants my husband to dump me and marry the other woman. Little does it know, I'm the one who really wants a divorce. After a short while, Carl called back. "Hello, I've thought about it. let's get a divorce, I won't bother you anymore, let's part on good terms, alright, hee, you changed your mind, then I'll change my mind too, thinking of easily kicking me out. I quit first, so I excitedly declared, I disagree. This statement completely stunned Carl on the other end of the phone. Didn't you just say you wanted a divorce? Now I'm granting your wish. I refused outright. Honey, I've thought it through. I can't abandon you at your lowest point. They say one day as husband and wife creates 100 days of affection. How could I possibly leave you? I've made up my mind. We'll be together for all eternity, never to part. Even I feel nauseous hearing this line. This time, it was Carl's turn to panic. No, I don't want to stay with you anymore. Even if I have to go through litigation to get a divorce, I must end this marriage. Threatening me, I said leisurely, fine, then take your time with the lawsuit. I can wait. As long as I firmly refuse to divorce, Carl's lawsuit for divorce will be very troublesome. The system gave him 3 months. If I drag it out for 3 months, he'll be in big trouble. Carl was silent on the other end of the line for a long time before speaking. Then tell me, what are your demands? Awesome. Transfer all the assets to my name. Not a single penny will be left for you. This is your punishment. If you agree, then I'm willing to get divorced. Carl thought for a moment, gritted his teeth, and agreed, fine, but let's be clear, you can't back out again. No problem. Combined, all of Carl's and my assets should be around 4 million compared to the system's 30 million reward. That's practically nothing, and how could Carl possibly refuse, when it meant he could divorce me and marry his beloved Jenny? I continued to hire a private investigator. Just in case Carl tried anything shady, I had him keep a close eye on Carl during this time. Carl was overjoyed by the system's reward. All he had to do was divorce me and marry Jenny. That was a $30 million reward. He privately approached Jenny and revealed his plan. Jenny was also a woman with big breasts but no brains, believing whatever Carl told her. After being disciplined by Wilson, she had become much more subdued. Now, faced with 30 million, she chose to take the risk. Jenny proposed a divorce, and Wilson naturally disagreed. His wife's affair had also negatively impacted his gym business. How could he let Jenny off so easily? But Jenny was in a hurry, so she had no choice but to agree to leave with nothing, and even wrote Wilson an IOU for 2 million. After all, once the system rewards arrive, 2 million won't seem like much in her eyes. On Carl's side, to prevent me from changing my mind, he promptly transferred all his assets to me without hesitation. I accepted everything without question. Next, we just need to wait for Carl and me to get divorced, and then the two of them can get married. The cheating system will issue a reward of 30 million. Carl was lost in his wildest dreams, but he never expected. I heard every single word the system said loud and clear. With the money in hand, I immediately booked a flight out of town. Sorry, I'm going on a trip first. On the day we were supposed to finalize the divorce, Carl bombarded me with calls. I blocked him immediately. He sent me threatening messages. Sarah, I advise you to come back immediately, or if I find you, I swear I'll kill you. Hee, you think you can fool me? Don't you know how many days you have left to live? In the following days, Carl used all his connections to look for me, but all the evil he had done over the years made even his own parents and sister despise him. Who would help him? It wasn't until 3 months later that I had a private detective lead me to Carl, who was already in despair. He was so terrified he couldn't sleep, and his appetite had greatly diminished. When I saw him, he was already skin and bones. Huddled alone in the corner of the rented room, he looked utterly disheveled. Sarah, he looked at me, a flicker of hope in his eyes that quickly faded back into lifelessness. I crouched in front of him. How about it? Feeling like disaster is looming? Carl's eyes widened. You knew all along. I chuckled darkly. Are you trying to ask me about the cheating system? Carl froze, his expression turning rather complicated. So you knew all along? I nodded. Yes, and now, please die. I turned and walked away without hesitation. Just as I reached the foot of the stairs, the system's voice finally rang out again. After 3 months, host Carl's mission has timed out and is deemed a failure, now initiating electric shock punishment. The most intense electric shock punishment was administered, and from the rental building behind me, a cry of utter despair erupted. Carl's voice didn't last long before fading away. I got into my newly bought car and left without looking back. Later, Carl's body was found, and his parents-in-law simply wrapped him in a straw mat and threw him into the mountains, as if they had never had this son. As for Jenny, unable to repay the 2 million owed to her ex-husband, she was forced to work 3 jobs a day. Accustomed to a life of comfort, she couldn't endure such work intensity and reportedly died from exhaustion within 6 months. As for me, I sold my original house and moved to another city with several million in savings. Here, no disgusting family rules bind me anymore. This made me realize that my life doesn't need to depend on anyone, nor should it be constrained by any rules. What awaits me is a brighter and freer future. After hearing the stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.